Okay, good evening everybody. How are we doing? And I hope we are all doing fine. So today we'll be learning graphic design typography tips. So just like you can see on your screen, we want to learn the practical aspect of typography in graphic design. So very fast, let us look at those tips we need to help us in our graphic design. Now the first one I'll be talking about is hierarchy. And hierarchy very important. And just like you can see on your screen, now what does hierarchy means? Before going to typography, what's typography? Typography design is the act of arranging a message. Let's say a message in a readable form. So it just has to do with arranging a message in a readable form. So now I said the first tip that can help you in typography is hierarchy. I made mention of hierarchy during the theory aspect, and I said hierarchy, it is used to guide the reader's eyes to whatever is most important. So hierarchy, it helps in guiding the reader's eyes to whatever is most important. So back here now, as you can see, the first thing that will catch the reader's eyes here is the typography. And I said hierarchy is about you arranging your words, like arranging your words or your text in preferences, the one that you find most important, make it appealing to the reader. So like for me, I felt this typography because this is actually what I want to talk about. So this is the main or the most important word, and that is why it's among everything. There's a difference between all the text here. It is bold and it is also in italic, and it is the most highest in size. So that's what hierarchy is about. So hierarchy can come in two forms. Number one is the size. It is the size. Just like you can see, the size of this graphic is different from the size of this design. So that's hierarchy for you. This graphic size. Okay, let's be practical now. Okay, I think I've grouped this. Okay, I can group this now. Now looking at the size here, this graphic, this 29.67 by size. Now this design by size, it is 26.847, and typography now by size is 32.815, and tips by size is what, 26. So hierarchy, it varies. It can be in what, it can be in size. So just giving a preferences to a particular text than another. And it okay, before I go to the second one, just let me show us a practical example. Let us look at this M10 design now. There's hierarchy in this design. Looking at this easy save instant, they found this as what they want to use to catch the reader's eyes. And once you see this design, the first thing your eyes will bounce on is this easy save instant. And all the fonts used in the old design, they are the same thing, but there's an hierarchy in size. There's an hierarchy in size. Like you can see, this one, this is bold and it is bigger. Now this is smaller. This one, it is small but bold, and it is also in italic, same as these two, and everything is just a single font. So that's what hierarchy means. And in the other way, hierarchy can be in value. What do I mean by value? That is color, that is in the opacity. When you look at this color now, it is darker. This is a black. I made this opaque. That is, I reduce the bright the darkness. Now let me confirm that for you. Let me go back to my, can you see my transparency? I added a transparency, and if I make my transparency back to 100, can you see nothing is there? And if I make it to 0, can you see it is now what? It is now black. But because I felt no, there should be something unique in my design, then I decided to add what? A transparency to make this what? 20. And can you see the feel? So that's another way hierarchy works, same as my tips here too. Can you see it is different from the black and the black of this graphic? So that's the first element, or the first thing I'll be talking about typography. That's what? Hierarchy. Hierarchy is very important. Hierarchy is very important. Hierarchy is very important, just like the design I showed you. So in every design you do, or in every project you carry out, one thing must be in your mind. What is your target? What is that thing you having in mind? This is another one too. Paper momo. Can you see? This is the once you see this design, the first thing your eyes that attracts your eyes is this particular paper momo. So that's the first element. And the second I'll be talking about is contrast. Contrast. Now, how does contrast work? Contrast works in about 3 ways, which I'll be explaining practically now. Number one, it works when it works in the aspect of font. Now, every font I use here, they are just it is a particular font, and I said contrast has to do with opposite, you know, opposite of something. Like for example, now when I'll still explain later on about type of font, we have not actually 2 fonts, but there are 2 major font people use, that is serif and the sans serif, and all the font I use here is the sans serif. So for example, now if I want to apply contrast in typography, which also make your typography good, is by adding contrast. Now contrast can be in terms of font. For example, now this is my catchy font. I want to change it to a serif. Let me say I want to use a Times New Roman, for example. Times New Roman. This Times New Roman. Okay, bold italic. Yeah. So let me just adjust this. So what do you see to this? Can you see that? So this is what we call contrast. I explained it in the element of design. This is contrast. So contrast, can you see how contrast work in typography? So the main font I'm using here is a sans serif, which is the Arial, but I just want some uniqueness. Then I make my my typography, I change the font to a serif font. So that's one way we have to be careful when using typography. Just apply that contrast, and it can be in font, just like I said, and in another way it can be in color. Now for example, okay, let me still maintain this font. Now for example, I said it can be in color. Now let me say I want this my typography to be catchy. Let me come here. I can use should I use the yellow? Let me come. I don't actually really want it to be yellow, like yellow. Okay, let's come to, let me change. Okay, okay, yeah, I think I'm fine with this. So this is another way contrast can happen. This is another way of applying contrast. Use it with color, and I can still decide to use same font for everything, but I think this is even more beautiful, applying a serif font in the midst of three sans serif and still distinguishing it with a particular color. You don't really need much color for a better design. This is very, very appealing to the eye. It is very, very appealing to the eye. So that's another way typography works. And the last one is it can also when we talk about contrast can also be line spacing. Okay, for example, let me still use this graphic design. I want to space out my text now using my shape tool. I want to space out my text now. Can you see now I have so from here now I can space it out this way. Now let's just follow me. Now I want my graphic to align with my typography. So there's something we can always do so for alignment. So you can come to your view, then you come to grid. So highlight your document grid. So you can have this on your page. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming view. Okay, document grid. So let me remove this background so we can see what I want to do. I'm doing, so I actually want let me zoom this out. Though if you are using some higher versions of Corel Draw, the grid on a norm is meant to overlay on this background. But in case if yours doesn't overlay, you can just remove your background so you can see what I'm doing well. Okay, so now okay, so let me just space it out a bit. Okay, just keep following me. Okay, so let me increase this a bit. Okay, I'm coming. Just keep following. Yeah, I want everything to touch this line for alignment. Now I talked about alignment, so alignment is very, very key. So this is how you can align your text or your design. This is how you can align your work in graphics or in design. So using grid. Okay, so I think this is fine. Okay, let me just reduce this more. Yeah, so this is another way of contrasting. In fact, I can still decide to make this design to space it out to graphic design, then bring it over here. Okay, yeah, okay. So this is another way contrast can work. Let me remove the grid so we can see this better. Grid, remove this too. So let me center this back. So now this is another way it can work. So you can see what I did now. Line spacing. So it's another way of contrast. Can you see my typography is tight, the text are tightened, but now for my design and graphics they are losing. There's a space, that space is there, and that's another way of contrasting your text that can give you a better design, So in using font, yeah. So so now I've talked about hierarchy and I've talked about contrast. So if you can apply these two particular elements in when making designs, then I think you are good to go. you are good to go. Now let us look at the type of font we have very fast. So I'll talk about 6 different type of font. Number 1 is the sans serif, which I've explained here. This is a sans serif. This is a sans serif. Come in. Let me delete all this one. I want it, yeah, so make this black. Okay, so this is okay, sorry, I said sans serif. I mean the first one is serif, not sans serif. Serif, yeah, serif, sorry, serif, yeah. So the first one, not sans serif, I mean serif. So the first font is what? Is a serif font. Now what's a serif font? A serif font, they have their origin from Latin alphabet. They have their origin from Latin alphabet, and they started as what? Carved into stone. And serif font, they are also called, they are basically known as stroke or line. You know, serif font, what made them serif font are this stroke or lines. As you can see, their edges, like their edges, they have this stroke and lines. So that's actually what makes them a serif font. And when we talk about serif font, serif font, yeah, they are basically used in magazines. When you notice magazines, they are basically used in magazines. If you check magazines, newspaper, if you notice the fonts, they are always serif, mostly serif. They are mostly serif. So the second one we'll be looking at is the slab serif. I want us to be taking note of it. Slab serif. Slab serif, and slab serif is actually different from, so let me use an example of a slab serif font. Yeah, so this is slab serif. Let me use medium. Yeah, okay, I'm coming. Let me center it. Okay, so this is slab serif. Yeah, this is slab serif. And what's the slab serif? A slab serif font, you know, they are bolder and chunkier. They are bolder and chunkier version of serif font. You can see they still have edges, but not like that of the sans serif. Okay, I mean not like that of the serif. You know, this is serif. I'm coming so that we can. Okay, so this is serif font. So can we see the difference? This is a serif font and this is a slab serif. A slab serif. So examples of these fonts, they include Roboto, Rockwell, Avo, and this type of fonts, they are used by companies like Honda. If you notice Honda logo, that H is a slab serif font. It is Volvo, it is also a slab serif font. Yeah, I think I have an example of a slab serif font. Companies, can you say Volvo? So this font used in Volvo is a what? Is a slab serif font. Is a slab serif font. So let's go to the third one, which is sans serif. Now we've talked about the first one, which is what? Serif. The second one is what? Slab serif, and the third one now is, sorry, the third one is sans serif. Sans serif. So let me find an example of a sans serif font. Arial is a good example of a sans serif font. Yeah, Arial. Okay, so this is sans serif font. So what sans serif font? Sans serif font, this is a type of font that are now considered more clean and modern than the slab serif and the serif itself. You can see them because of the edges sans serif doesn't have. It makes it more clean. So nowadays, or in the modern world now, people prefer to use sans serif over serif and slab serif. Not that they still don't use slab and serif itself, they still use them, but people consider this more clean and more modernized. So an example of font are Arial. We have Arial. We also have Century Gothic. Yeah, we have Century Gothic too. And a company that uses sans serif font is Google. If you go to Google now, the font that Google is a sans serif font. Sans serif font. So the fourth one is script font. Script. Let me write that. Script font. Script. SCRIPT. Script font. Okay, let me reduce this. Okay, so script font. So so can you see this is an example of a script font. This is an example of a script font. Yeah, and what script font? Script font, they use cursive handwriting style. Yeah, and they can be formal or informal, but they normally have a strong presence. They have the potential to be unique. An example of script font, it includes script empty bold, just like you can see. It also includes Lucida font. I think, yeah, it should have Lucida font. Lucida, yeah, can you see? This is another one, Lucida calligraphy. So this is another kind of script font. And a popular company that uses this font is Ford. Yeah, Ford. We all know Ford. Yeah, Ford use, let me see, do I have, okay, this is sans. This is script. Oh, okay, I think I didn't have that here. Okay, I didn't have, but Ford company, if you check their logo, you would see that Ford that produces car, they use sans serif. And the fifth font I'll be talking about is decorative font. Decorative font. Yeah, so decorative font. Okay. So decorative font can be dramatic and distinctive too. Yeah, they are good font. Okay, let me look for a type of decorative font. Okay, so this is one type of decorative font, quick kiss font. And for we that watch all this playful, it's very, very playful is a playful font. Decorative font is a playful font. And if we check all this Disney, when you look at the font they use for their design, is decorative. So decorative just have to do with playful font, just to make things bright, to make things playful. And the last font type of font I'll be talking about is um handwriting. Yeah, handwriting, HND writing font. handwriting font handwriting font Handwriting font, as you can see, this is one example of handwriting font. Yeah, this is a type of handwriting font, and let me show you handwriting font. They are also been they are associated with being artistic, playful and casual too. Yeah, just like they mostly use them for all these coffee drinks, breweries. Yeah, breweries too. No, that is mainly where font are being used. So these are the six kind of type of font. Though we have modern, but basically these the six type of font I'll be talking about that you can always use for your design. One, the serif; the second, slab serif; the third, sans serif; the fourth, the script serif; and fifth, decorative font and handwriting font. So they are all wonderful font we should all try out. And lastly, what I'll be talking about is what we should avoid. What we should avoid when we shouldn't don't be afraid. Yeah, what you should avoid: don't be afraid to combine fonts, but be careful of the kind of font you use when you are working. Depend on the project actually, but when you are working on a logo, only maybe it is a fashion logo, or or what again, or something that have to do with drink, that you can use this decorative or handwriting. But if it is a business logo, a company logo, you should be using either of these three fonts: serif, slab serif, or sans serif. And if you'll be working on your business card, a letterhead, you should be using these three fonts. So there are other aspects to use this. Maybe you're working on a magazine, a newspaper, just for the heading, just to be catchy. So you can use these three fonts. And number two, avoid this is one of the error people do mostly. Avoid how do I call this, stretching your font, and it's not good. Just maybe you want to increase or decrease. Avoid stretching or just using your font. No, 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 no. It is not, it doesn't make brain in graphic. So rather, instead of you want to increase, rather than stretching it from the side, no, rather than doing that, you stretch from the edges, either this edge, this edge, this edge, or this edge, but not from here. No, not from here. No, 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 don't do that. If you want to reduce from here. If you want to increase from here. If you want to reduce, just increase or reduce from the edges and not from here. No, 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 no. So avoid doing that. Yeah, okay, I think that's all for this lesson. I think that's all for this lesson. Yeah, I think that's all for this lesson. So that's all for today. Yeah, that's all for today. Though this video should have been, I should have released this video before now, because this is just an introduction to typography. I should have released it immediately after the video I dropped on color. So after this video, I'll continue with the designs I've been doing. I've been on designs on agricultural product. So we'll continue with that now. So I think that's all. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Invite your loved ones, tell people that are interested in graphic design. Let them see this as a big avenue for them to learn. Yeah, so I really appreciate you, and don't forget to drop your comment as well. So thank you and see you at the next tutorial.